Hello geeks, we are here to continue Narcissu, the visual novel. Last time we stole some medication for her because she was out of medication, and we are so close to Avaji Island, and I really hope that they get there with no problem at all. So I think this is the second last chapter because there is like a slot for chapter 8, which is the last one. So this is chapter 7, Narcissu. Around when the day was slowly being dyed orange. A sandy beach in winter, nobody in it, pine groves swaying in the cold winter wind. I stopped the car at this beach and turned over the driver's seat to her. Can your feet reach the clutch pedal?
大丈夫.
Okay, now shift the gears from neutral to second.
知ってるわよ.
Okay. Now do as you will.
わかった.
She stretched out with all her might to step on the clutch and grasped at the steering wheel with concentration. I leaned forward in my seat, instructing her as best as I could. Good. Now gently let up on the clutch. And then, all nervous, just as I'd expected, the engine started to knock horribly. Okay, next time, let up on the clutch a little more gently. She did say this confidently enough, but she really didn't have any skill at all. She was trying so hard that she was even pursing her lips. But I couldn't help but feel that it was really charming, because usually she had no expression at all on her face. Hey, you almost look like you're hungover.
わかってるわよ.
The silver coke, now quite noisy courtesy of the crack in its muffler, almost like a song of lamentation arising from the beach that had no one in it. Around when the sunset had faded away into the nightfall, around when a sea breeze had changed into a land breeze. Before we knew it, the enormous moon had risen from the night sky. It looks like you've more or less gotten the hang of it. Along with this reply, she smoothly shifted into third gear. Her foot on the clutch was smooth and sure, and she had free run of the entire narrow sandy beach. If you can do this, then you'd probably be able to get a license even without going to driver's school.
そうなの.
Well, take what I say with a grain of salt, after all. I'm not a certified instructor on anything. It wasn't as if we were planning on getting her license at this late hour. We both knew that. We had a map, we had our meds, and though it had a broken muffler, we had this silver coke. But we had no time, we had no future. And because I knew this, it was all the more painful to me. Well then, I'll give you mine instead. Saying this, I took out my own license from my pocket. This was the license I thought I'd never use. The proof of a normal world that I thought I'd already lost. Here, as a substitute for your license.
もらっても使う時間なさそうよ.
Oh, go ahead and take it. After all, I'm in the same boat. 7F, which no one had ever left alive. High ceilings, window that opened only 15 centimeters, white ID bracelets. The third time was the end. She was on her second time. I was on my first. So here, congratulations, you're a license holder.
ありがとう.
With a tiny bow, she received the license from me. Now she was a certified driver as well. She could drive any car she wanted and go anywhere, not just on a coupe, but on a sedan or even a convertible. I was sure that a girl like her could find places to love no matter where she went. After we'd driven around for a bit more, we arrived at our destination, the place where Narcissus bloomed. This was supposed to be a tourist attraction, but whether it was because it was so distant or whether it was because it was night, there was no one around. And underneath the pitch-black curtain of night, we were waiting in the car for dawn to come.
ねえ、明かりつけないの？
No, because it looks like the battery is almost gone.
そうだね。
A totally dark cabin, the motor turned off. Only the dim panel lights to reflect our van's self-same profiles. Not a single word exchanged as we waited for dawn inside this car devoid of any other light or sound. And the pile of clothing to be washed in the backseat, thick jeans and sweaters and a few hand towels. We had grabbed a bunch of those things and spread them on top of ourselves since we had no blankets. It's cold, huh? You can come closer if you want. It's okay, so come on, over. I looked at her shivering in the passenger seat and offered her my empty lap. It'll probably be warmer this way.
別に私は平気よ。
She was shivering even as she said this. Our breaths were frosting. She was obviously bluffing.
それともあなたが寒いから来てほしいの？
Well, that's fine too.
じゃあ分かった。
She squirmed over to where I was and then diffidently curled up on my lap. See? It's a little warmer this way, right? The windshield frosting over from the cold outside air. We could now see nothing past its white, icy overlay. But it would be dawn soon enough. And when the time came, we'd see white flowers spreading to one side of us. Gradually, night gave way to dawn. The rising sun rendered the sky purple and then white. And along with the dawn, so many white flowers spread themselves out before us. Radiant whites and yellows appearing where they had only been darkness before. Before we knew it, we'd come out of the car and were staring at the scenery. It's incredible. A countless number of narcissi spreading out as far as the eye could see. The virgin white of the flowers amplified by the morning dew, descending like a carpet that led into the ocean itself. And in the midst, our exchange of words and our breaths frosting white in the chilly air. We'd come a long way since that day that we saw these same flowers on that boring TV. We'd come all this way despite the fact that we'd had no plan or destination. These are exactly the ones. How nice, huh?
厳密に言っても
Then that's great. I didn't really know what the distinction was, but those absolutely beautiful flowers on the TV that day. When compared to those, the ones before our eyes weren't as big or as well shaped, but they were alive, here and now, in this place. They're beautiful. Unclear, boring, ordinary, but a cold, unrelenting reality that answered to no one. In this world so filled with things that could not be seen, In this world so filled with things that could not be touched. Here and now, before my eyes, there I lived something that I could not see and touch. And right here as well, the shards of all things unseeable were scattered everywhere. January 31, Avaji Island. The falling snow coming down off the poor white January sky. It had been 2 days since, but we were still here. We could not leave. Hey, are you okay?
多分
Her condition was rapidly worsening. She had tilted her seat back all the way down, and we were mainly staying on one place to let her rest. She'd taken her medications, but they had no effect, and her condition did not improve one whit. But we were inhabitants of 7F. It was her second time already in the first place, so it was not surprising that something like this might happen. Hey, do you want to go back? Do you? Yeah, just a little.
7回それともいえ
I don't know. What did I know was that it would come to this sooner or later, and my fate would not be much different. But it was incredibly tough for me to be able to do nothing but be by her side. February 2nd, Avaji Island. Rain that did not seem likely to let up. Drops of water falling from the twilight sky. The glistening white narcissi in the rain, visible from the car window. Hey, you know, I pointed at the white flowers visible in the windshield as I said this. You said those were narcissus, right?
ナルシスがごきげんよ
Narcissu. There was another word I was reminded of. Funny, since I'd thought that it was unique up until now. You mean in narcissist?
もともとが神話だからいろんな説があるんだけどね
And she slowly began telling me the story as I looked and listened in admiration.
誰からも愛されるナルシス妖精のエコーもそんな彼が好きな一人だったのでもエコーは相手と同じ言葉しか話せない
Repeat the words?
そうだからナルシスに先に彼の口から愛してるって言ってもらわないとエコーは自分の気持ちを伝えることができないの
She continued her story desolately with a sorrowful voice, her eyes looking far into the distance somewhere, just as they had before all this.
でもそんなこと絶対にありえないどんなに夢見て憧れても決して叶うことのないエコーの願い最後にはナルシスに呪いをかけてしまうの
So that he would fall in love with his own self, with his own reflection in famous waters.
そして自分の姿を見続けたナルシスはいつしか綺麗な花へと姿を変えてしまうのそれがこの花ナルキッソスの語源よ
She made a little sigh when she finished her talk. I'd also grown sad just by listening to it. Echo, who could never fulfill her wish, she didn't seem at all that different from us. So, what happened to Echo after that?
いないわ呪いをかけるときに消えちゃったから
Disappeared? What meaning was there in that? She disappeared without the curse accomplishing anything. She disappeared having caused only pain for Narcissu.
どうかした？
No, but you know, you're different.
え？
You asked me yourself some time ago whether I cursed my own fate, the one I couldn't do anything about.
私は諦めているから。時間の止まった私。
I'd spent so many seasons, so many wide overcast skies without the want or need to converse with anybody.
いつから私は一人なのだろうか。目を閉じても世界は消えない。
Even if I covered my ears, the sound of the rain would not stop. I knew that all too well. The bikini swimsuit, the emerald sea, the swimsuit modeling smiling radiantly on the magazine cover. I didn't think I was jealous of any of that. In my own world of closed eyes, I could go anywhere I wanted, even without a car or a map. Even if these huge scars weren't already constantly reminding me, even if I was the echo to the Narcissu that was this reality.
決して憧れない。呪わない。
That's what I decided, and yet my heart was pounding right then. My supposedly stopped time was ticking loudly, even though I knew that at this late hour the end was coming and that there was nothing to be done about it.
傷は深ければ深いほどそれに比例して治るのも時間がかかるだし、それならば長い時間をかけてゆっくり離れてしまうともう取り返しがつかないのだろうか。じゃあ22年も生きた私はどうなるのだろう。
Hey, are you okay? Before dawn, I had reached over to her passenger seat and was stroking her back. It was 2 days afterwards now, and now even those ineffectual meds were all gone. But they were better than nothing. With that in mind, thinking to head a pharmacy, I reached for the keys, and I was about to ignite the engine when she stopped me with her frail voice. But at this rate, you...
どうせもう聞かない。
Well, that might be true, but it was as she said. I didn't think the same meds would do a thing for her either. But it was just too hard for me to sit there and do nothing, even if I knew that. Then let's go somewhere else.
別の場所。
Yeah, someplace that isn't this lonely. Okay, let's decide our next destination. Look, anywhere would be fine, so be my navigator again. I was speaking in a voice so cheerful that I even couldn't believe it. Speaking so brightly, all by myself to the girl who was just starting into the distance. Even though I knew it was futile. It had been over 2 days, 3 days, really, that she'd not had her meds. I knew that. Hey, so tell me, do you want to go somewhere? That's right, you like cars, so you want to get on the expressway again.
別に。
Then how about the new clothes? Let's go buy some. You want some too, right?
別に。
What do you mean, not really? With that, she went back to gazing out the window. She wasn't looking at the Narcissu, but once again into the faraway distances. So that oh so rare, so bashful expression was no longer even a possibility. Why do you have to be like that? You and your incessant not reallys. Wouldn't it be nice to look straight forward up for a bit? I'd started shouting before I knew it. Strangely, it was all really sad. Nothing should have been real to me, yet in my heart ached. The car was in total silence. Outside the window, the flowers of January, the Narcissu, were swaying in the morning twilight before dawn. And there she was, staring at something afar, far more distant than these white flowers. The distant sound of the sea waves was the only thing that held dominion here.
前向きになって晴れるわけないじゃないの。
What? The darkened car, her sudden quiet
憧
voice.
れて懸命になって頑張っていつか報われるのならいいけど、でも叶わなかった時にはどうすればいいの。その時に無理だったねって笑って言えるほど強くないわよ。
Her eyes, which had been focused on the far distance, were now staring straight at me from the passenger seat.
私にできることは最初から諦めて何も望まずにいて、やっぱり無理だったとは冷めた目で自分を見ることしかできないのよ。
You. She was crying for the first time. It was usually so hard to get any expression out of her. And yet now, her shoulders were heaving a little, and tears were falling from her eyes.
あの時頑張っていたらもしかしたらって自分にとっての最後の言い訳をと最初から無理だと分かっているんだから、それぐらいいいじゃないの。
The night sky, visible above the windshield. Nothing but the moon showing its face in the sky before dawn. The occasional roar of the sea waves and the sound of her weeping. She may have been fundamentally similar to Echo after all. Able only to say the same single thing over and over, able to say nothing, wish nothing and see nothing for herself. Able to do nothing but give up. Her veto of both 7F and her home was probably her first and last act of defiance. I think chapter 8 is the last episode, and I think she's going to die. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all of the love and support, and I will see you in the final episode, I think. Bye bye.